We've all found ourselves in awkward situations where our romantic interests don't seem to be enjoying our company. But fear not, young grasshopper, here are 11 flirting strategies that are psychologically proven to work. Number 11. Little red dress. Although many women generally go for a little black dress when going out on a date or to a party, it might be better for them to choose a red number instead. If they're looking to attract a man anyway, red portrays many different things, including lust, desire, sensuality, plus the bright hue helps people stand out in a crowd and it's bold and daring. It is also scientifically proven that the color red is associated with romance. People who wear this shade are more likely to attract others who are interested in flirting because it conveys openness concerning amorous behavior.
However, the color doesn't only work on men, it works on women as well. A guy in a crimson top is sure to captivate the ladies around him. So wear red if you're looking for a flirtatious outing.
Number 10. Eye contact. One of the easiest ways to get someone's attention is by making eye contact with them. This flirting technique works wonders if you're interested in somebody romantically. Let's say you're out at the club and spot an attractive guy across the room. You look at him and he looks back. During your second glance his way, try to make sure that the two of you lock eyes. By doing this, he'll know for a fact that you are checking him out, and it'll be more likely that the two of you approach each other and begin flirting. The same thing goes for conversation. When one of you decides to chat the other person up, and you both seem mutually interested, make sure to keep the eye contact going as well as the chit-chat. Ensuring your eyes meet regularly tells the other person that you are intrigued by what they're saying and paying attention. Plus, if you keep looking at them, it's a good indication that you find them attractive and vice versa. However, make sure you look down every now and then. If you stare at the person for too long, it becomes disturbing and can ward them off. You don't want your first impression to be that of a stalker. Number 9. Hard to get. Another proven strategy when it comes to flirting is playing hard to get. Jumping into things too quickly can be the downfall of any relationship and can push someone away even if you're not in it for the long run. It seems to be human nature to want the things we can't have, which might be the reason dieting is so hard. Once you tell yourself you can't have pizza, it becomes the only thing you think about.
The same thing goes for romance. If you think someone isn't available, then you'll work harder for their affection. Taking the chase out of the equation makes things boring for both guys and girls.
So don't give in to the flirtation too quickly because it's less likely to work. One aspect of this strategy is called the push-pull method. The push means to keep the other person on edge and keep them guessing whether or not you are romantically interested. This can be achieved with vague comments or body language. The pull means to regain their interest verbally or physically. Compliments and light touching work well for this technique. Playing hard to get works for both men and women equally, and if done correctly, could even land you a relationship. Number 8. Tone of voice. Have you ever heard a voice that nearly brought you to your knees? Well, unless it was the voice of God, probably not. However, one's tone of voice plays a significant part in successful flirtation, especially concerning women. It's proven that men find a gal more attractive if they fluctuate their pitch when speaking. Doing this portrays interest and confidence, and it usually comes naturally to the ladies out there.
If you pay attention to other people's conversations during a night out on the town, you'll probably begin to notice that girls involved in flirtatious interactions speak in higher voices.
Although other women might find this annoying, the men they're after more than likely think it's attractive. Plus, have you ever had a conversation with someone who doesn't do this? Talking to a person whose voice remains monotone throughout the discussion is similar to talking to a wall. It conveys boredom, and it probably means exactly what it projects. However, men aren't expected to change their tones of voice as much as women do. Girls find short and direct interjections alluring. Saying things like, "I see," "alright," or "yep" lets a lady know that 1. He's paying attention, and 2. He's a dominant figure. Number 7. Smile. This strategy can apply to men in some cases, but more often relates to women. This one might seem obvious to most ladies out there, but it's still something to pay attention to when trying to flirt with one's male counterpart. If a woman is sitting somewhere with her brows frowned and the corners of her lips pointed downward into a frown, she doesn't look very approachable. Guys aren't looking to chat up so-called Debbie Downers during a night out on the town. They're looking for somebody who looks fun-loving and ready to mingle. The easiest way to do this is to smile. Flashing those pearly whites conveys kindness and playfulness, and it makes men want to come close and start a conversation. If you're already talking, a smile also shows that you're enjoying yourself. One characteristic of this strategy has its roots in basic human nature. Showing one's teeth makes it easy for others to tell whether or not they are healthy. If your teeth are in solid shape, then you're more likely in good health. If your teeth are falling out, then it could mean the opposite. This applies more to women because it also shows submission. Men often view themselves as the dominant gender and are more likely to flirt with women who don't appear overly assertive. Number 6. Crack some jokes. Why did the chicken cross the road? To chat up the rooster on the other side? Of course. This is arguably one of the most successful flirtation techniques out there. When people are asked what characteristics they look for in a romantic partner, almost every person will say a sense of humor. It's no secret that nearly everyone out there finds pleasure in a good chuckle. If a person takes everything seriously, then they become boring to the romantic interest. If the guy you're flirting with jokes about something, and you become offended or don't see the humor in it, he'll feel discouraged or lose interest. And more than likely, you won't want to continue the conversation for much longer. Once again, Debbie Downers aren't the captivating type most people seek for a mate.
This goes for both men and women. Both genders want to be able to have fun with their partners. So guys and girls, try to include some humorous remarks in your flirtation strategies, and just be yourself.
Be entertaining and feel free to laugh till the cows come home. Unless you are talking about pressing matters, of course. Number 5. Teasing. Another excellent method for flirting with a favorable outcome is teasing. But this doesn't include saying things like big head or making fun of somebody's way of talking. You don't want to hurt the person's feelings. You want to attract their attention and be playful, not unkind. Poking fun at certain things will benefit your flirting game. Just make sure that you aren't saying something that is truly offensive. This strategy isn't only verbally achieved, however, men and women can tease each other physically too. One way to do this is a short-lived glance at the person who they find attractive. You can look up, catch the person's gaze, and then look down bashfully. If you're a lady, batting those thick lashes does wonders as well. Once again, make sure you don't stare too long and cross the border into Creeper Town. Something that guys tend to do is place their hands behind their necks and leave their legs uncrossed. This is not only a sign of attraction, but also a passive way of teasing via body language. Men portray dominance and openness by positioning their bodies to take up more space. So if you're testing out the waters of somebody you find attractive, then be playful and keep the mood lighthearted. A little fun teasing never hurt anyone. Number 4. Copycat. This scientifically proven technique is a huge success in most flirtation situations. Some people get annoyed when people copy what they're doing. However, just like your mom probably told you as a child, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, which holds true in nearly every circumstance. Think about it. If you see something you like, then you are likely to copy it. If you pass a mannequin in the mall that's dressed in an eye-catching outfit, then you're more prone to buying the apparel combination yourself. If you're at a restaurant and you spot the waiter bringing a mouth-watering chocolate cake to the table next to you, then you're more inclined to order yourself a slice. The same idea applies to flirting. If the person you're flirting with begins copying your mannerisms, then they are most likely interested in you. They like what you're doing or how you're acting, so they want to do it too. And more often than not, they aren't doing it intentionally, and it's a natural occurrence when people are mutually attracted to each other. So don't feel weirded out if someone laughs when you laugh, takes a sip of their cocktail at the same time as you, or does any variation of the mirroring strategy. This carefree mimicking means they care and have a genuine concern with what you're saying or doing. Number 3. Frown Town. Although smiling works wonders for women who are trying to flirt, it doesn't always help out men in this department. We've all heard the stereotypical "women like bad boys" and "good guys finish last" statements, and to be honest, they have some truth to them. Women often find men who look somewhat harsh more attractive. They want guys to have a certain toughness about them. The bad boy look can come in many different forms, however. One way is arrogance. Although a guy shouldn't be overly egotistical, he should display self-esteem in how he looks, acts, and speaks. A second form is exhibiting brooding. If he looks upset or slightly withdrawn, then a woman might want to get to know him better and possibly turn his frown upside down. A third style is being a bit scandalous. If a man acts somewhat shameful or other women are flocking around him, he might seem more desirable. This isn't always the case, however. A lot of ladies out there are looking for a good guy, but having a tiny amount of bad boy attitude can go a long way during a flirtatious conversation, because it is another projection of dominance. Number 2. Touching. Being hands-on with your flirting technique is also a psychologically proven strategy when it comes to attracting a mate. Keep in mind, however, that this does not include inappropriate touching. You'll want to judge the person's feelings toward you by their body language and verbal responses. Plus, you should only make the move once you've been conversing for some time. Nobody likes a strange dude coming up and touching them for no particular reason. However, this can be a great way to establish romantic feelings between you and the guy or gal you're interested in, especially if used with the techniques we previously discussed. Let's say you're at a cafe enjoying a nice cup of coffee with your hot new pursuit. She orders a latte, takes a sip, and comes up with a foam mustache. You poke fun at her, and the two of you start laughing together. Then you graze her arm with your hand. This is the type of touching that's appropriate for a new relationship, and it helps one's flirting game tremendously.
Light, regular contact with the person you're into lets them know that you find them attractive and even unintentionally shows them dominance, which is a commonly sought out after trait in men.
However, this strategy works for both men and women equally, as most people enjoy physical contact with their significant others or crushes. Number 1. Be confident. This is perhaps the most important technique when it comes to flirting successfully, and it comes naturally to most people. Having confidence allows one to project determination, assurance, and self-composure, which draws people in. This might be harder for some than it is for others because we all come from different lifestyles and exhibit various personality types. People who are extroverted and confident can easily talk to people and grab their attention. People who are introverted but still bold might have a bit more difficult time flirting with people in a crowded place, like a nightclub, but will find it painless to approach a singular person and begin flirting with them. However, the lack of this trait will mask a person's other favorable characteristics. So the first step to going out and finding a romantic partner is becoming comfortable with oneself and overcoming bashfulness, even though it can be challenging.
People lose interest in somebody quickly if they're constantly questioning themselves. So buckle up, Buttercup, go out there and show them what you're made of. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.